Recently, an article came out in the LA Times detailing the process behind adapting the iconic sci-fi novel Dune to film. The Times sat down with director Denis Villeneuve and screenwriters Eric Roth and Jon Spaihts to discuss the guiding principles behind the film. In this video, I'd like to talk about what stood out the most to me from this article and how it aligns with what was in Frank Herbert's book. Spoiler alert, as I will be talking about some crucial plot details from the Dune saga. While there were several comments that I appreciated in this article, the one portion that really did not sit right with me were comments made by Jon Spaihts regarding the gender swap of Frank Herbert's character, Liet Kynes. In the book, Liet Kynes is the imperial planetologist and judge of the change, who is described as a sun-tanned, sandy-haired man. However, in the newest film, this role was gender, and many would say race-swapped, as the actor Sharon Duncan Brewster was cast for Liet. In this article, it is revealed that Spaihts was the person who initially suggested this change as a way to make the story feel more up-to-date. He also said, quote, "Herbert's novel is, to some extent, an artifact of its time, and it definitely skews male in ways that don't feel completely contemporary now. Of all the messages in the story, the message brought by Liet Kynes of planetary stewardship, of the preciousness of resources, of the necessity of building bridges to local communities to sustain ourselves going forward, those are modern messages, and it seemed right to modernize the messenger." Right off the bat, as a fan of Frank Herbert's novels, I have to say that I completely disagree with Spaihts' thoughts regarding Frank Herbert's work being outdated. I'm of the opinion that most fantasy stories, like Frank Herbert's Dune, are timeless. The setting for Dune is far removed from our modern day, taking place some 20,000 years into our future. It's not presented as a utopian society. In many ways, it is a society that has greatly regressed. Thinking machines have been banished, with simple calculators being outlawed. The governmental structures of the various star systems and planets have seen a return to feudalism, and most of the organizations in the known universe are patriarchal. Spaihts' assertion that Dune is outdated is no doubt laughable to many fans of Frank Herbert's work. In many cases, the men who serve as the leaders of the Dune universe turn out to be failures, or end up becoming tyrants. The women in the Dune saga are tremendously powerful as written. In fact, for much of the history before the first book begins, the all-female organization of the Bene Gesserit has been carefully and secretly manipulating the powers of the universe to fulfill their clandestine agenda in the hopes to gain control over humanity. Frank Herbert, as an author, was extremely progressive in the themes he included, promoting ecology and warning against unchecked capitalism. The women of the Dune saga continue to be some of the most powerful figures in the universe until the final stages of the story. I think that Spaihts' comments regarding the need to modernize the messenger for these themes is short-sighted. Liet Kynes serves as the secret leader of the Fremen and is at the forefront of their efforts to transform the desert planet into a lush, green environment. While by itself, the transformation of Arrakis in the first book might seem to be a positive development, as the series unfolds, the consequences of their actions result in a great strain on the known universe, resulting in the death of billions. Interestingly, while the Fremen people can be called the natives of Arrakis, it is actually the sandworms who have dominated this world long before any humans had settled there. So in a way, by transforming Arrakis, the Fremen are killing off the dominant indigenous species, driving it into extinction. So while he is correct that Liet emphasized the message of planetary stewardship, preciousness of resources, and building bridges to local communities, it is ultimately these transformative efforts that lead to tremendous pain and ruination for the rest of humanity. I also disagree with the implication that Liet's gender as written would negatively impact the character's ability to emphasize the ecological themes of Dune. With a story that serves largely as a warning against humans imposing their will without consideration of the consequences, the character of Liet Kynes as the leader of the Fremen could certainly be viewed as one of these misguided leaders. Overall, the fact that Jon Spaihts thinks he can come in and alter the author's work to make it better or to make it more contemporary just screams arrogance to me. And ultimately, his assessment of the character comes off as short-sighted and lacks the nuance of the author's work. Frank Herbert spent years carefully crafting this story. In many ways, it is the result of his real-world experiences in politics, religion, and environmental observations. To assert that the choices he made in his character design and conception are outdated come across as supremely disrespectful to this legendary and beloved author. As a fan of the books, I believe that the themes presented as they are written in Dune are perhaps more relevant now than ever before.
What is the message? What is the statement that you're attempting to make here?
Don't trust leaders to always be right. I worked to create a leader in this book who would be really an attractive, charismatic person for all the good reasons, not for any bad reasons. Then power comes to him. He makes decisions. Some of his decisions made for millions of people, millions upon millions of people, don't work out too well. Well, I think that our society was formed on a distrust for government. And we seem to have lost that distrust of government. I kid around and I say that my favorite president in recent years has been Richard Nixon, because he taught us to distrust government. What is it, that government is a shared illusion, and when the myth dies, the government disappears? That's right. No, I have a very passionate concern for posterity. Another thing upon which this nation was founded, with a decent concern for posterity. And unfortunately, posterity doesn't vote. I say frequently that I do not want to be put in the position, I refuse to be put in the position of having to tell my grandchildren, and I have grandchildren, I'm sorry, there's no more world for you, we used it all up.
Now, having said all of this, I think that there is much reason for hope in this film. While Spade's comments are disappointing, I was encouraged by the statements made by Denis Villeneuve and Eric Roth in this article. I'll leave a link in the description if you'd like to check it out. In it, both Villeneuve and Roth speak very highly of the source material, with the director even stating that Frank Herbert's book was their Bible on set. I really do believe that this will be the most faithful adaptation of the book to date, and I'm extremely excited to see Villeneuve's vision of Frank Herbert's iconic world come to life. But I'm curious to know what you think of John Spade's comments about the gender swap. Do you think Frank Herbert's book is outdated? Are you excited to see the film, or do you have other concerns? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.